Hello everyone and welcome back to another Pony and Wolf Productions video. My name is as always Visual Pony and today we are reading the story The Jewel of Corruption by Kagekitsune. If my Japanese translates it correctly, it's Shadow Fox. Let me know if that's actually correct because my Japanese is a little bit rusty and I haven't practiced it in about 15 years. So yeah, also as always there's a list of those amazing people who keeps this channel alive. Here, right for your discretion to see. Also, please don't forget that we have a merch store and there is currently limited edition wedding merchandise going on after Midnight 29 and I got married. Get it while it's hot because it will disappear on the 1st of January. So, without further ado, my lovely ones, let's get into the story because by now I know that I am annoying you a great deal. A pretty jewel it may be, but kind? Never.
I wish for the jewel to disappear, as if it never was.
It was with those words that the Shikon no Tama was thwarted. Forced to obey the wish of one Higurashi Kagome, its last and final guardian, the only one to ever make the right wish. The first true taste of defeat with no way to take her down with it. It was too bad, though, that the jewel had centuries of experience of twisting words to its favor. The jewel still disappeared, gone from history. It would never return, for it was not allowed to. There are other worlds to ravish, more misery to be caused. The right wish may have been said, but too bad it wasn't very specific. Before the jewel had forced its way into a different world, it laughed. The jewel had forced its way in the early beginnings of civilization, where cities were treated as countries and regarded each other as inferior. Resting in a meadow not too far from a town with the sun shining brightly on it, visible for all to see and too pretty to ignore when seen, the jewel had not even begun its calling when a small creature had found it. Much difference in humans and demons, the jewel mused. But what did it care for looks? After all, the jewel was a sphere of crystal. No larger than an eye, ranging from a coral pink to black. Depending on the jewel's holder, of course. The jewel was barely brushed by the creature's hoof. A single brush was all it needed to know everything about the filly. The smallest of a large family, and ignored in favor of her elder brothers and sisters. All she wanted was her parents' love. Such an innocent want. Such an innocent child. The jewel would have so much fun corrupting it. This time there would be no one to stop it. There was no Kagome after all. The child began to enthuse over her first treasure. It couldn't wait to make it so the filly never enthused over anything again. You wish for your parents' eternal love? A question the jewel would ask every day. Without faltering, the filly would always answer yes. Do you want everyone to love? Well, why not? She would love the attention so much. The jewel asked those questions every day until the filly finally asked a question of her own. How can I get their love? The filly asked the jewel, which rested on her cloth-covered hay pile. The pink jewel hummed with its power when it answered. My dearest little girl, all you had to do was wish on me. Wish on me and I'll make it all reality. A white smile broke on her face. That was easy. Anyone could do it, even a gross bug. And so she grabbed the jewel and cleared her throat. I wish that everyone could love me, and I'll live off that love forever and ever. When she finished, she beamed down at the jewel. Of course, my dearest, most precious little one. I'll change you in a way no one can ever forget. Malice poured from the jewel like an unending wave. The filly's smile dropped and she was engulfed in light. She screamed so loudly. Her coarse black coat turned into a hard shell. Her large green eyes grew and the color overtook her entire eye. A horn grew where there previously wasn't one before. Sharp and jagged, not at all the straight spiral of the unicorn. Bug-like wings grew from her back. She kept screaming even long after the transformation finished. Don't you like your new form? You'll be loved by everyone, just not with how you look now. But I think an ugly true form is a fair enough price for the ability to transform into magic. Don't you? If it could have, it would have chortled. True to its word, the filly did indeed live off of love. And the filly kept on living until the filly couldn't get the love to consume anymore and starved to death. She was the first changeling, simply known as First Mother. Poor little filly, you wished for the wrong thing. There would be no Kagome to stop it this time. Oh no, she was an anomaly. Her very soul was once intertwined with it. And yet it remained strong and dominant. The jewel would bring pain and misery to all creatures of this land, corrupting kind and loving kings into tyrannical monsters. A lonely and curious manticore into the very personification of chaos, planting a seed of hate and envy into a younger sister, and forcing it to bloom so large and powerful a whole new monster was born, giving an unquenchable thirst for power into an old centaur on the promise of youth and the world at its feet. And it would have caused more hate and misery across the land, but the sun had found it, rejected its promises, very familiar with the jewel's cruelty in the sort of times they had been in contact. And so the sun, Celestia, had locked it deep underground, barred from the world by the magic of the sun. Celestia had heard the whispers of the jewel, the promises it would give, if only she wished upon it. It had taken far more effort to resist and reject it than she would like to admit. She had been so sorely tempted, but the wounds of her sister's betrayal were still too deep. And she knew the twisting of her sister's soul was a result of this simple sphere of crystal. Celestia was forced to hide it for the betterment of all. She hid it alone, in a place few could venture, and she trapped the hiding place with hundreds of spells, some known only to her. The traps were deadly, but should the jewel ever be found, the world may fall into ruin. In fear that one day she might be tempted to use its power, Celestia forced herself to forget it. The jewel knew it had more power than the sun, but it couldn't use it. It was a rule deeply ingrained into itself. Only a different being could use its power, so it had called out. For centuries, even a millennia, but there was no answer. None that mattered anyway. Nothing had the power or drive to reach it yet. But this was not a defeat. Any living creature could eventually claim it. It was just a matter of waiting. And it would wait and wait and wait. Then it would corrupt the entire world, bringing hate and misery and death. And it would bask in it and taunt the sun and then take the sun's body for itself. But not now. Someday. But not now. Hopefully, it was soon enough. Author's note. I've been sitting on this for 2 years and now I've freed it.
It is once again time for comment time with me, Luna, the comment kitty. Like and subscribe so that my can openers can buy me more amazing toys and treats. Sometimes I allow them to buy some food and stuff for themselves too, but only after I had my own share first. Also don't forget the merch store and the Patreon in the description down below. That way you can get stuff earlier or support the channel and get amazing merchandise. Ouch. This story is quite cruel. I mean, the idea to send the corrupting gem from the Inuyasha anime to Equestria is, in itself, already cruel, but hot damn dear author, you did a real good job in making visuals hairs stand on end. You have a talent and you should use it. Now go away, there is a toy with my name on it.